Looks like the gang's all here, hanging out at the beach on a Saturday afternoon. We've got everything from a 55 Chevy to a 46 Ford. Even a T-tub fenderless rod. And since this is the beach, even a Woody. Doug and Susie Carr's 34 Ford Woody is one of the finest examples of its termite heaven breed. Surfers first turned on to Woodies in the 60s because nobody wanted them. They were the cheapies on the back lines of used car lots. Today, a Woody is one of the most sought after of street rods. The Carr's car has a chopped cowl and visor added over the windshield. The engine is a 72 Chevy small block V8 with an Edelbrock Performer manifold and Carter AFB 4-barrel carb. Hard to believe, but this Woody is also a race car. They take it to the nostalgia drags. The wooden car did the woodwork on this beaut. It's all perfectly varnished maple panels. The interior of the top has maple bows and basswood slats, and the interior panels are more highly polished maple. Instead of a Woody's bench seats, Hotwood has 4 bucket seats from a Pontiac Fiero. The only upholstery in a Woody is on the seats, and they're covered in gray cloth and vinyl. The paint job is in luxurious black. The wheels are Boyd's. The taillights from a 39 Ford. Surfers rule. Hotwood is a cowabunga street rod with sand between its toes. John Gaddis' 40 Ford Sedan is about as Southern California as they come. This is what's known as a smoothie. The most striking thing about this car, of course, is the paint job, orange acrylic enamel by Cypress Auto Body, and apricot, dark red, and navy blue graphics by Dave Wagner. The pinstriping is by Herb Martinez. In the engine compartment, we find a Chevy 350 engine, Holley Performer manifold, Holley 600 4-barrel carb, and S&S block hugger headers. The front suspension uses Chrysler torsion bars and KYB gas shocks. The dashboard uses VDO instruments, and the tan naugahyde and tweed interior is by Jerry Greenway. This is another car using Boyd's billet wheels. You want something that can really move? Jim Baker's 55 Chevy 210 Pro Street Sedan can really get down and boogie. This perfect example of a double nickel stove bolt has a big block mill and rear tire so big if he slams on the brakes he can erase every notebook for 5 miles. It has 2.5-inch drop spindles. The engine is a 454 Chevy big block bored to 468 cubic inches. It has custom ground billet cam and Edelbrock dual quad manifold with 2 Edelbrock 4-barrel carbs. The radiator is a custom aluminum piece and the transmission is a street and strip turbo 400 Hydromatic. Those monster tires are Mickey Thompson N5015s on Budnick wheels. The paint is Centauri acrylic enamel, a special mix aquamarine. The interior is civilized with a billet aluminum panel, VDO instruments, and a Kenwood stereo AM/FM cassette. The upholstery is by County Auto Upholstery in Garden Grove. And now for a little music from the pipes. If there's anything a street rodder loves as much as cruising, it's a car show. This is the annual show on Main Street in Seal Beach, California. How about a jet black 40 Ford coupe with a knockout set of flames? Or a 48 Ford full-on custom coupe? The engine is a small block V8 from a 69 Chevy truck equipped with a B&M supercharger and an angle cam. This looks like it started out as a Ford, but this car has never been to Detroit. Don Sigler's Golden Chariot is a fiberglass reproduction. This is a Model A street rod, reflected in the mirror finish on a 39 Chevy. Besides being a real looker, this one's a mover too, powered by the traditional Chevrolet small block V8. Its 4-barrel carburetor is dressed up with a billet aluminum air cleaner, and matching valve covers means the car's owner has paid as much attention to the engine compartment as he has to the exterior. This Model A pickup has a very untraditional engine. Called the Speedway Delivery, this little red wagon is powered by an Offenhauser 4-cylinder engine, the power plant that scored trophies at the Indianapolis 500 Speedway. Modern street rodders have all the conveniences of owning a Porsche or a Rolls-Royce. Now they make bras for just about any old car you can name. This striking black 37 Ford coupe has a gray fabric interior, also very up-to-date. The owners of this breathtaking 40 Ford Sedan Delivery made the showstopper you see here from a real ugly duckling. This is what they started with, and this is the final product, in which baby blue accents everything, including the engine. Say aw. A more traditional hot rod is a 33 Ford like this one, but this one is nothing traditional. This is a real smoothie, completely chromeless. It's painted out, including the engine, which is a fuel-injected Corvette. Another eye-catcher is the dashboard, which is totally digital, and the fully custom interior. The wonderful thing about an old car is that something like this can end up looking like this. Both these cars are Model A Fords. This one is an excellent example of what's called a resto rod, a car that looks pretty stock, although it has the hot engine of a rod, and updated brakes and suspension and so on. Its companion needs a little restoration, although its owner enjoys driving it as is. Model T rods tend to stick together, which makes their appearance at a car show look like a convention of the bicycle spoke makers of America. No one could mistake the engines in these cars, though. This is pure street rodding. 2 4-barrel carburetors on a tunnel ram manifold. Back on the road again. After walking around looking at hot rods, all you want to do is get back in your own and cruise. Riding along in a Model T rod, you're about as close to nature as you can get. A T is so open to the elements, owners of tea buckets are often looked on as fresh air freaks. It sometimes happens in colder parts of the U.S. that a tea bucket owner will show up at a rod run covered with snow, but smiling. Joel Gruzin's 23 Ford Tub looks like it could have been fashioned from an old Model T touring car, but this is a modern street rod. It's fiberglass. Almost black, the color is actually Ford Twilight Blue, a 2-stage paint applied by Mike Young in Joel's backyard. Those glittering wheels are center lines, and the front tires are Reefer 135-15s. On a custom-made frame, the front end consists of leaf springs and 4-bar suspension. No old-fashioned car, Joel's rod uses performance machine disc brakes on the front. Like many other street rods, Joel's T-Tub uses the Chevy 350 V8. It has the intake manifold from a 57 Corvette, which holds 2 4-barrel Edelbrock carburetors. A real hot rod, it has a rumpety-rump performance cam and a homebrew exhaust system. Mike and Joel also did the upholstery, blue velour with a gray border. The dashboard holds Stuart Warner gauges, and Alan Young did that pinstriping. The monster rear tires are Mickey Thompson 1550s. Joel's 23T is a perfect example of the Model T street rod. How about a 4-speed trip back into the 60s? Lee McCullough's 59 Chevrolet El Camino is a handy car to have on cruises. Since it's basically a pickup truck, he can carry the lunch, the picnic tables, and the kegs. One of the most striking aspects of Lee's El Camino is the paint color, a shimmering aquamarine. Lee's Aquamino looks like it could have stepped out of the 1963 Norwalk High School yearbook. Period perfect for the style of customizing done in the early 60s, Lee's car has a nose and deck job, a custom tubular grille, American racing mags, and a lowering job that makes it slinky but practical. The engine is the stuff of street rodder dreams, a Chevy 409. Hit songs were made about this engine, and it broke drag racing records all over the country in the 60s. Lee's has the factory tri-power, 3 2-barrel carburetors. Also popular in the 60s was a column-mounted tack, and Lee's has the once common but now rare Moon Eyes decal. The upholstery is gray velour. Those cat-eye taillights were familiar sights in the golden days of street rodding. Speaking of utility vehicles, this is Chet Norris's 40 Ford Sedan delivery. Although it's a big, big car, John's commercial vehicle is as slippery as a gumdrop. Completely chromeless, the body is coated in 84 Firebird Spectra Red. Alan Shaw Restorations in Sacramento, California did the bodywork on this beauty, and it features a smoothed and peaked hood, Frenched headlights, a painted-out stock grille, smooth running boards, and a one-piece windshield. The door handles have also been removed. The engine is a racing head service 269 horsepower small block 350 V8 with a Cam Dynamics camshaft and a Pete Jackson gear drive. The carburetor is a Rochester 650 on an Edelbrock Performer manifold, and those billet valve covers and Valley air cleaner really make this engine look high-tech. The radiator cover is by Dan Fink Metalworks, and it really tops it off. The interior was done by Ken Foster of Sacramento, California in gray and red tweed with gray trim. The seats are Cirolo buckets. The dashboard is a smooth stalker with VDO gauges and a fat jack insert. The steering wheel is a Licara on a Toronado tilt telly column. The license plate has been sunk into the rear door, and it has French 39 Ford taillights. This is a civilized car. Vintage air conditioning keeps passengers comfortable. A major event in Southern California is Tom's Fun Run, put on by Street Rodder and Custom Rodder magazines. The starting point is the McMullen & Yee Publishing Company in Anaheim. Hundreds of street rods and custom rods from all over Southern California travel to Orange County for this combination poker run and car show. Checkpoint number 2 was Ultra Wheels in Garden Grove. There, the successful navigators played a game to win play money to use later in the prize auctions. At checkpoint number 3, Dan Fink Metalworks in Huntington Beach, the rod runners got a first look at a Phantom Deuce Woody, being built there to the specifications of automotive artist Tom Taylor. Checkpoint 4 was specialty cars in Artesia, where rodders could ogle street and drag race machinery in production. The last leg was the famous Bellflower Boulevard, one of the most famous cruising streets in America. When the cars filed into the park in Bellflower, it became a major car show. You can't think of a color or configuration of street rod that didn't show up to Tom's Fun Run. Want to get far out? This is a street rod Volkswagen, but it's like no VW ever seen before. Norm and Jeannie Roberts' unbelievable Type 3 has a rear engine, but by Oldsmobile. This wild 68 VW was customized by Concepts of Buena Park, California. Those striking headlights are 37 Ford and the grille is 1/8-inch steel. The hood was louvered by Slots of Fun in Dallas, Texas. The showpiece, of course, is its rear engine, a 76 Olds 455 with a crane cam. The chromed Edelbrock Torker manifold, Rochester Quadrajet carburetor, and air cleaner are surrounded by an upholstered panel, but they look almost fake, like a silver plastic display from a car parts store. That's to fool the competition. Norm engraved his name on the American Eagle wheel caps. The doors open suicide style. The interior was done by Norman Willie's high-tech upholstery in Buena Park in gray tweed. The engine is real, all right, running a Toronado Turbo 425 transmission through Ford 9-inch axles resplined to fit Volkswagen suspension. That striking paint job was designed by Norm himself. Now for street rodding basics. Tony Gansey's red coupe is what street rodding is all about. If you ask someone to describe a hot rod, they'll usually say, "Oh, a wild-looking old car, painted bright red, no hood, no shiny wheels." Know what I mean? This is a 1930 Ford 5-window coupe. Tony's rod fits all the parameters for a hot rod, but let's look a little closer. The engine is the familiar Chevy 350 V8, and Tony's has an Edelbrock cam, Edelbrock manifold and carb, and S&S block hugger headers. Everything, as you can see, is polished. It's a Model A, but it can fool some people into thinking it's a Little Deuce coupe because it has the grille from a 1932 Ford. The interior features a custom-made dash by Tony with Stuart Warner gauges and a Grant steering wheel. The seats are upholstered in brown vinyl tuck and roll. The paint color is blood red. In an age of physical fitness and an obsession with losing weight, it's hard to believe that something called a fat, fendered Ford would ever become popular. But Fords from 1936 to 1948 are some of the most popular cars to make into street rods. Some rodders stoutly maintain, if it ain't got flames, it ain't a street rod. Fred Aaron's 46 Ford convertible certainly qualifies then. Silver and magenta flames over a dark blue body really set this car apart. Fred Aaron's 46 Ford convertible gets closer to the ground with a 4-inch dropped axle. The engine is pure modern. It's a Chevy 350 with a competition cam's camshaft, an Edelbrock manifold and carb. It uses Sanderson headers and a Chevy Turbo 350 transmission by Cleans Racing Transmissions in Linwood. Thoroughly modernized, it features Mustang power disc brakes in the front and uses a steering box from a Vega. The dashboard is totally stock, including the original Wonder Bar radio. Looking at Fred's 46, you see what an old fat fendered Ford looked like in its day. The luxurious upholstery was done by George Gomez, also a bellflower, in blue leather. The paint job is an original stock color called Douglas Blue. The flames, of course, weren't factory equipment. Those were applied by Tom Kelly of Bellflower. And one of the finest things about street rodding, you can go home, rest up, and do it all again later. See you on the street. You put years of effort into your street rod and you want to keep it nice, but you don't have a garage. You want to keep that candy paint intact, but it has to sit in the blazing sun in parking lots. The solution is a California car cover. They're guaranteed for life, never to scratch the paint, and they come in 3 varieties for your car's needs: soft weave, Plush Weave, and Storm Weave, a 4-layer bonded car cover for wet, windy, and snowy climates. California Car Cover will make your cover custom fit to your car. A California Car Cover will keep your street rod looking cruise-worthy year after year. The best investment you can make to keep your car looking good.